Good morning. So we're here for what we're going to have a little fun with, features and sleepers. So these are featured lots and then lots that we think might be sleeper lots that we just want to make sure you know a little bit about. And there's a little debate amongst us here. I mean, not all of us have the same numbers, and so it's pretty interesting. But we're gonna go right off on this. So I guess I'm gonna start out because I was the only one to put lot 1 and 2 on the list. Okay, you know, lot 1. I mean, you just gotta appreciate that bull for the quarter that he's got and the thickness over the top. I mean, everybody looks back over the deal and says, "Which is that lot?" And he's just that kind of bull. So I really like him. And then two I think is probably a bull we may sample. We haven't. I think I commented in an earlier video that we might have that finite by now, but we're still vacillating is what it comes down to, and we probably won't make a decision until the day after the sale or something like that. So, but I really like two. You know, that those mitigator dams have done a good job. That cow's been pretty consistent. You know, there's just not much you can't like when you get out there and look at him. And then we'll move on to 4. 4 wasn't on my list. He was on Craig and Dylan's. What's your guys' comments?
As far as I'm concerned, I mean, Dylan and I were talking about him this morning. That's just a pedigree that I want a whole lot of daughters from. I mean, from a cow power standpoint, I don't think we could have wrote a better pedigree. He's sure on my short list of bulls that I'd like to see get used.
Yep, and I would agree with you, Dylan. What's your thoughts?
I think he's interesting for the fact that he goes back to franchise, bull that we brought in from as an outsource kind of aspect, and I think highly of the cow. I kind of agree with Craig. Just gonna do a lot of good things, and be interesting to see what he has to offer.
Phenotypically, this bull really has from weaning. Mm-hmm. And I say from weaning, he's an ET, so he came in here at weaning, but from weaning he's really laid out a very great package. Then we'll move on to 5, and this bull's a little unusual that Dylan and I both had him, but I had him as a sleeper, and Dylan had him as a feature. So Dylan, you want to go ahead and talk first?
I think phenotype-wise for me, he's one of the best looking bulls in the pen. I've always liked him. Even the fact that he is a 1B, I think for a commercial cattleman, he'll do really, really good things, and I guess he could be a sleeper because don't.
Well, the 1B thing, they always kind of discount it because they're 1Bs, but the reality is you have the very same pedigree you have in a lot of cattle across this deal with the backing of the Durheim cow herd. You know, so you have Stockman on forefront. I mean, he does a lot of powerful things, and you know, across the board, he's great. Craig, did you have a comment?
Well, I was just going to mention too. I mean, not just commercial guys, but I mean, if you're raising some 1B bulls, I mean, he's good enough to be a herd bull.
Yep.
No question
without a doubt. I mean, he could go into any herd that would had 1Bs, and boy, that bull would really knock him off, in my opinion. He might be the best E116 calf in the whole offering. So.
Right there.
Then we'll move on. We have 9. Both Jake and Dylan had him. You guys, what's your thoughts?
I thought just right off the bat, his pedigree is a little bit different for us, putting the moral bar on the profit maker and then just showing how stout he is out there. I mean, Dylan and I were talking about it on Sunday, and he just stood out to us and just all around well made and just a nice bull. What
do you think about the profit makers, Dylan?
They have really shocked me, especially we're calving some of the females. They're really milky, they're really good mothers, and again, they do a good job.
So then we'll move on. The next one on the list is 10. 10 came up for a couple people as a feature. I want to say Dylan and Craig Howard. What's your thoughts, guys?
Just gotta appreciate that calf. Substance, style. Spartacus on the bottom side and Stock Market on the top side. I mean, just that. I don't know how you make one that looks any better than that.
Dylan?
And he's got the numbers to back him.
I really like that 524 cow going back to the Laura 112. We talked about her numerous times, and she has a lot of good things.
Half sister to forefront on the bottom side there, so I mean, that's sure a pedigree you can go. Then we'll move on. 11 comes up. Dylan, this is your baby.
Yeah, I just like him when I go out in the pen. He sure stands out to me. I liked his Grand Am, that 200 decal. We obviously flushed her. Same thing with his mother 525, a moderate little cow that does a really, really good job, and his numbers match. He's just good. I like him a lot.
Yeah, and I like 11 too. I mean, that hard drive, the hard drive females have been a mainstay here and consistently do it. So, I mean, without a doubt, that's sure a pedigree to look at. Then we'll move on. The next one we have on the list is 15, and 15 probably gets the most votes for the feature of any bull. Who's out on him? Dylan was the only one out on him. Dylan, we want you to comment. No. So, no, Dylan doesn't have to comment. I'm kind of putting him on the spot there. But, I just like this bull from an overall mass standpoint. Craig, what's your thought?
Yeah, just mass, but yet smooth made too. I mean, he's 2-star, and he sure looks it. Just the way he's made in the front. He's so nice and smooth. I think probably one of the better front calves we've raised, just standing right there.
Yep.
I think.
Jay?
The picture penny just moves smooth too. I mean,
Yeah.
to go along with it. I think he scanned really well too.
He did.
And just got that milk out of that forefront maternal traits on.
Yeah,
him,
like
too,
you
so.
said, moves like a cat.
Yeah.
Just
Okay. One of the things is that probably isn't of note, but in the dollar profit system, he was the second high ranking dollar feeder bull in our deal, which is pretty interesting. I mean, you can sure feed him, and with his data, you ought to be able to feed him and put him on a grid and end up in great shape. So that is a bull that I think potentially we're going to sample. And as a matter of fact, with that little rating today, I'm thinking that 3 of us like him pretty much. Not that Dylan doesn't.
I just didn't want to jump on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
Like anybody else.
But-
not to.
Yep,
cut
no,
you
go
off,
right
Craig,
ahead,
but,
you can.
I mean, not just the feeder calves, but I mean, he's going to leave behind some daughters that are going to be fabulous.
Yeah.
Look at the
You know what I mean?
forefront daughters we
Yeah,
have
I mean,
now.
look at the forefront daughters. We
Yeah.
already have Spartacus on the bottom side. That's
Yep, we're gonna, and part of the reason that bull doesn't herd builder too well is probably because of Spartacus, but we all feel pretty strongly. And one of the things is when we see a bull like this, and we feel like everything we say says he's going to be a fine female maker, we have resolved to go ahead and kind of swim upstream here at Bieber Red Angus and use a bull. The next bull on the list is 20. This is a franchise out of a gladiator. I forget whose list he came up. I guess Craig and Dylan. That's one, both you guys again.
well, I jumped in front of you twice. So you go ahead first.
I like this calf, even though he might bring a little extra birth weight for some guys. Even for having that much growth, I think he's pretty smooth made and got a really good top. Going back to that surprise cow, she was a big, milky, growthy kind of cow, and the franchise thing just brings an extra little something to it, in my opinion.
I agree. I just think for a cow bull, they're not going to come any nicer. And I mean, you keep every daughter this guy has. I mean, that's a no miss pedigree as far as keeping the females go.
Yep, well, not only that, but one thing that I've seen the gladiators do is very consistently they marble. And this cow particularly, they have marbled well. And so, I think that speaks highly of the mating. Then we'll move on to 21. Now this is I guess my favorite son-in-law actually weighed in on this one as well. But this is a favorite of mine. Jake, I'll let you comment first.
I just like it's out of the proven cow line 189A. On top with franchise there. I think Dylan's the profit maker surprised him. I think for me the franchise calves have really surprised me this year. They really come into their own, and they stand out to me in the pen when I'm walking through them. They're a little more stout, I would say, than I originally thought.
I do. This cow has done a phenomenal job. When you start to figure out that Iron Warrior, who went to the Cooksleys, and then Cooksleys and the Reynolds, or no, just the Cooksleys, and then Reynolds came in with Cooksley and bought Maximus. This cow's laid in the herd sires, in my opinion, and there's something. Maybe I'd make him a little deeper, but this bull really has a lot of great traits, and I think from a female perspective could be, and so he's kind of on my short list. We'll see where we end up there. I think we're not all there, and part of it is we can never use too many sires. We almost always want to use too many sires, and we like to keep our sire list to a little smaller area. We think it increases consistency. Anyway, we'll move on. Then 30 is the next one on somebody's list. Jake, go ahead.
Yeah, you know, I don't know exactly what it was, but just I always have to look at whenever I'm walking through the pen. You know, he maybe has a little too much leather up front for my taste, but other than that, you know, he just moved good. He's nice and wide, and another forefront son that I just like to see.
We commented about him in
Yeah.
the picture, Ben. That, I mean, that's about as good a calf as you can make, though.
Right.
He's so long
Yep.
and deep, and he moves nice. And just, that's a heck of a calf with a little bit different pedigree on the bottom
Right.
side, too, for,
Yep.
for somebody.
So 42 gets us to the hard drive. This is one of mine that, you know, he's really moderate framed. I don't know if this isn't maybe one of the best hard drives we've ever produced. I don't know whether to put him as a feature or sleeper. I would maybe give him a little more extension, but I got to remember old hard drive. We weren't. Jordan Rhodes had to talk me into using hard
Right.
drive, and it's probably the best thing that we've ever done is how heavily we used hard drive.
Big
But
shout out to Jordan for talking us into that.
yeah. I mean, he made a case that hard drive really needed, and he was. Hard drive was a bit more moderate than I thought we could handle at the time. There were some things I maybe wasn't, but boy, I back up and say that's the best move. I mean, we had a lot of good bulls that year, and so it was difficult deciding which one to use. So 42 comes up on the list. Then we move up to, I guess Craig, he was on your list too.
Yeah.
42. I'm sorry, I missed
No
that.
problem.
But we move up to 68. This is a bull that was on my list of features. I think this, of course, we talked about this mating earlier, and he maybe doesn't do it quite with the growth that some of the others do, and so that's the challenge there. But I just really like this bull overall. Like this bull as he moves, his style. You know, he's low enough birth weight that we can plug him in on a lot of heifer programs and make him work. And of course, you got that Gladiator daughter on the bottom side that really marbles. I mean, between Gladiator and her, you know, they're sure gonna marble. So anybody else have any comments on this bull?
Just nice pattern bull. I mean, just like you said. I mean, he stands out. You see him every time you drive by.
So that kind of concludes most of the features. There is one other bull that ends up being a feature / sleeper, but we have lot next one will be a sleeper in lot 89. Craig, you had this one. You want to comment on it?
You know, I just well, we've already talked about that 525 cow.
Yep.
I mean, and here she is. She does it again. I mean, that's a really nice set of calves out of a doggone good cow. One of the better 116 calves,
Yep.
in my opinion, and he's down the list a little ways. Not everybody's gonna see him just because he's down the list.
Well, and then the other thing is that I made the mistake on the footnotes here. And remember, this cow was flushed 2 different sires and 2 different flushes. And so there are some stock markets, and then there are some E116s, and this is one of the E116s. And so I think you're sure spot on. I maybe missed that one, but I really do think there's a possibility he could be a sleeper. And then on to 101. 101 is on your list, Craig.
Again, the stock market on the 7409 cow, you know, come out of the basin field. We had a lot of 5233 daughters that were
Excellent.
smoking good, and you know, that 7409 is no different. And you know, I just think it's a really nice bull with a really nice pedigree.
Yep. That cow was a fabulous cow. I mean, the Gene and Dan made a great decision with that cow to own her, and I think Craig's spot on. I mean, that's one that sure deserves a look. And then we'll move on to a sleeper that I had, was in lot 128. This is the atomic calf. I think you actually stumble across him, and he's probably not a sleeper because boy, he sure phenotypically did it well. So anybody have, I know he's not on anybody else's list as a sleeper, but any thoughts?
We have commented about that old flush and what a set of daughters. You know, full sib sisters, we're gonna get out of that.
Yep. 132 is also on mine. This is the one that's maybe a feature or a sleeper. This is a profit maker calf that has done a good job. I like him. He's always kind of there when I'm looking at bulls, and that's one of the reasons he got on my list, I guess. The next one we got, Dylan, is 133. You have some comments on him?
Oh, that was me.
Oh, I'm sorry, it is. Yep.
That was me. You mean you can't help but notice Maximus calves with how stout and moderate they are, but this one does a little more calving ease, and he just stuck out to me as far as how he walks, he moves. It's just a little bit smoother with how he moves.
This is
what
probably
I see.
minutia, but when you have E294 that sired H294,
It's gotta be good.
there's got to be something
There's
going
gotta be
on
something.
there. Yeah. So that is a little
Not
interesting.
superstitious, a little
Yeah,
superstitious.
yeah. If you're superstitious, that one is probably where you need to be, or not, I guess. 136 comes up on my list. This is another stock market calf that I really think does a lot of things right. He's calving ease. He made my list because out there he's very noticeable. And then I also had the 137, which is a mating we've talked about 3-4 times now. I mean, this mating obviously did it. I'm not sure how many we've talked about it, but
When it works, it works.
it works, and it's obviously working. We're putting them up here a little further. Then we'll move on to one of Dylan's sleepers, is 139.
I really like this calf. Again, topside going back to the Primrose cow family. I touched on that earlier in the week. This calf's granddam, actually, a little tidbit, just calved yesterday. So most of these cows are calving right now. He's as long as you can make one. And, I mean, looking at the weaning, some guys might be a little iffy on 65, but he's a little younger calf. And, I don't know, he's only weighing about 150 pounds lighter than the front end.
Yeah. Then we'll move on to 143. Or Jake, did you have a comment on that
No.
one? No, okay. Then we'll move on to 143. That was Jake's call.
Yeah, well, I mean, just going through the stock markets, I know Craig and Howie both said you got to look from the back to the front of them, and you find them in the middle still. I mean, this guy is just another one that, I don't know, the style he has has just kind of stuck out to me. I mean, when you're going through all the stock markets, I mean, you got to start to pick a couple that you really like. And
It's a heck of a mating with a stock market hard drive,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, ultimately, it does a great job. Then we're going to move on to one that was both Craig Howard and Jake, 153.
For me, so the 359 B cow, that's the mother to the 42 calf, the hard drive calf. So this is her natural calf here, out of Warhead, and boy, what a standout!
Mhm.
I mean, just long, and I mean as long-sided as you can make a calf.
Yep.
All kinds of horsepower, and still does it with calving ease.
Yep. And still got the power behind him.
Yep.
I mean,
You know, just
that good carcass. I mean, he's got the numbers, but he's also just got the look.
Exactly. If I think I was told once, if you want to make a great set of cows, you buy your herd bulls out of great cows, and right there's a great cow.
She just calved yesterday, too.
She just calved yesterday, so she's
Yeah.
got another one for next year.
Now they're coming so fast. Most of them are, quite
Right.
frankly.
Like
We're
we
right
had-
in the thick of it. We probably don't have time to
I
to
think
do
we
this
had
video,
30
but
we had 30 yesterday. So
Yeah.
we're rolling along.
yeah. So lot 176 is the next one that was on my sleeper list. This is a Maximus out of an endurance that really catches my eye when I'm out there. I've been driving out there, having a look time to time and showing people bulls, and I don't know, he always kind of pops out at me. Those endurance daughters did a great job for us through the years, and so I guess that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, I just really think that's a Maximus son up the way that people should take a look at. Then we'll move on to 211, which is a sleeper for Dylan.
I gotta find it.
Yeah.
Going back to his sire statistician, again, I wasn't super wild about the bull, but seeing what he does on some of these calves, especially when they're this young, I mean, he's way up in lot 211, but again, 109 on the yearling. he's one to take a look at.
Yep. Yeah. Well, then we don't have that many statisticians. It's sure different pedigree if you're looking, and boy, this one won't hurt you. Then we're gonna move on to 215. 215 comes up on.
That was me.
Okay, Jake.
Yeah, in the picture pen yesterday, he just had a really nice
That'd be video pen.
video pen, excuse me,
Yep.
video pen. He's had a nice deeper flanking. I mean, out of Kirkland, I mean, he might not number out great, but phenotypically, he just really stood out. And just quiet as can be. I mean, if you're looking for disposition, this guy's the one. He stood there all day, using them kind of, across the pen, and you had to get pretty dang close to get him to move. Just a nice bull.
Yep.
One quick comment, and I'll let you. We're gonna have the spreadsheet up. Does have dispositions, and we will have actual scrotals in there. Craig.
No, I was just gonna mention the disposition on that calf. Like you said, we used him for bait on the other side of the pen all day yesterday. And standing there by himself, and then we walked him out and scratched him. So,
Yep.
I mean, he doesn't get worked up.
Next is 217. Dylan. Quick comments.
Going back to stock market E116 again, just a calf that's a little farther up in the offering, but still just does a really good job, and I don't miss him.
Craig. 218.
218, atomic on Stockman. Just he's long, he's deep, and he's gonna leave a lot of good daughters. So.
235. Dylan, you had on your list.
Again, now a stock market way up in the offering. Again, a little more birth weight, but on a big set of cows. Definitely don't miss him either.
And look at the bottom side of the pedigree. That's Forefront's dam. So that'd be a half sister or a 3/4 sister to Forefront actually. So make sure you watch that. Then there's a few more sleepers. 259. 259. Just to note, that's out of Energizer's mother. Energizer's with ABS. This is Stockman E116. He comes in a fairly moderate package and just kind of catches my eye, but I thought it was interesting to note that, here's a great cow that's produced one a little up the way, and he's done a good job. Just kind of a sleeper there that I think people should be looking out for. And then I had 269. This is the only one of 2 hard drives in the whole sale. That's a classic Basin pedigree on the bottom side with Hughes, who was out of the Basin program, and then the Primrose cow line, the OT43, which is Jordan Rhodes actually bought. So
you see that calf every time you're in the pen, don't you?
Yeah.
He just sticks out.
Yeah, and then Craig had one at 277 that kind of hit the mark.
277. He's a tick moderate, but just absolutely chock full of muscle. He's just as thick and heavy muscled as any calf in the
Yeah,
offering.
great structure too.
Yep.
And then I added 2 more at the end here. 288 was an atomic out of Rolling Deep. I think it's kind of a cool pedigree. And we talked about a 3/4 brother up the way a little bit. And then the one other bull I added, and I just really like the kind on this bull, is the 289 bull was a heavenly arm that actually looked good. So those are kind of features and sleepers. I guess if you have any questions, you need to just give any of us a ring. Thank you.